Welcome back at 7:45. The latest jobs news seems to point to a cooling jobs market. The government comes out with its big June jobs report today, and that tells us how it could influence interest rates. Financial advisor Scott Gwatney with Burns Financial joining us now to talk a little bit about it. The numbers are out.
Yes, they just came out.
How did they look?
Ticked up a little bit, but kind of expected. Nothing to worry about. Going forward, the Fed looks at this a good bit to really dictate when they're going to actually start to reduce that Fed funds rate. And that affects both sides, borrowing for businesses. So as unemployment slows down, they really want to see this come down, and they want to see a cooling, not cool. And then they judge that, and we heard Jerome Powell talk about it earlier this week in Portugal. They're trying to land the plane. They've talked about soft landing. This is what they want. So unemployment is never a good thing, but from an economy perspective, they want to see it kind of cool, because once it cools down, that helps the Fed lower that rate, which affects the businesses. Businesses can borrow more, expand more, hire more people. So it's a fine line coming out of COVID. I mean, still now, we're trying to land that, so that way they can kind of figure out when they want to make that adjustment to that rate.
So watching the economy and the jobs market in particular, that's how the Fed will potentially make their decision on when to decrease those interest rates at some point. That's the big thing everyone's waiting for, that will kind of give the signal on what comes next.
Right, and Jerome Powell kind of mentioned it, and they don't ever try to show their cards. They hold them tight, but we're probably going to see one between now and the end of the year, most likely in September, and that's what most of the analysts are thinking, mainly because September, you don't want to do November, because we all know the election's there. They don't want to commingle the two. So ticking it down, and I think it's going to be a very small tick down, because they don't want to move too fast on the way down. They moved up really quick. So that way they do that. They don't want to put us into a recession, which could cause that. So I think we see a small tick before the end of the year.
And maybe just one before the end of the year? Or?
I think so. I think a lot of the analysts that you read, and everyone, even the economists, think that we probably see one for the end of the year. I know we came into this year, I think, in 3 or 4, and then now it's slowed down to probably just one.
So really, like, when you consider the markets, then that sort of news shouldn't influence your decisions as much. Maybe it's better if you're planning on borrowing or buying a home down the line. But I mean, if you're looking at investing in the market, you're not waiting for this to make that decision. The thesis should be a long investment.
Exactly. I mean, this doesn't really affect when you want to invest. I mean, depending on retirement age, young, old, this doesn't affect that. This really affects more of your checking and savings rates. You'll see as they tick down, that 5.5% we've seen for a while will start to go to the 4.5%, 4.25%. So we'll kind of see that tick down. But also borrowing, credit card rates, loans, you'll see those actually tick down as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You see the benefit on one side for borrowing, you kind of get the less interest rate on the safe side of the investing side.
Right. I guess ultimately, though, what affects people the most are the prices that we pay for everything, and that's what the Fed is trying to mold. Right?
Exactly. They're trying to mold that and really finagle. I mean, you'll see gas will go up, gas will go down, bread, eggs, that'll go up, and then all of a sudden, you'll have meat that'll go down. So they're trying to balance out a lot of different aspects of the economy to kind of help the overall consumer, but they're trying to thread a really tight needle.
That soft landing, still trying to find the runway, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're circling around. They can see the runway. They just they're trying to slow down and get there not as quickly as possible.
Waiting for air traffic control to say, hey, you're good.
Yeah, you're clear for landing. So.
All right. Well, we'll keep a close eye on it. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thanks for having me.
All right, time.